My name is Alden Do Rosario, and I'm the CEO and founder of CustomGPT.ai. So today we'll be doing a learning lab on deep research agents. And while there are a lot of agents, I just listed like five or six that we will go through. So, uh, right? So, again, I'm the founder and CEO of CustomGPT.ai. We are a no code, low code platform for businesses to create custom GPTs, basically chatbots with your own data. And people use this in different ways in their business or put it in front of customers. My vision is that in less than 30 minutes, you should be able to go from sign up to deploy of your own custom GPT in your business with no technical expertise required, like zero technical expertise. But today we are going to be talking about this passion project of mine, which I've been working on for a couple of months. And it's a custom deep researcher. So while we are talking about the researchers like ChatGPT and Grok, we'll also see this custom deep researcher. Yeah, 2 years in the working, we've been working on custom GPTs and the platform. And for technical people out here, we are usually known as a RAG as a service. So we take care of everything to do with RAG so that you don't have to build anything. Uh, so for today's task, research task, uh, we teamed up with GAI Insights, and Lucinda gave us a good task that we can use to compare all the research agents. So that task is, you know, to build a knowledge base of real implemented use case using LLMs. So she gave a really big prompt here with various KPIs and use cases. So this is a classic, market research task. And we will look at it from the perspective of various deep research agents, right? So before we go into deep research agents, I want to give a quick overview of how we would do things before deep researchers came along, right? Before deep researchers came along, whenever somebody gave us a task like do deep research or research something, we would go into Google, we would come up with some query, Google would give us the 10 blue links, then we would spend the next hour like clicking on those links, and if we are lucky, we would get some like surface level information about whatever it is that Google was showing us, right? So you had this old way with what's called the 10 blue links way, right? Now, what we do with deep research agents is we ask in natural language what we want to achieve, like the task that Lucinda came up with, right? I want to do some market research on LLMs, right? And then the deep researcher is the one that does the hard work for you. So it will go do the Googling, it will go read the articles, it will go find the information, understand the information, redo its plan, go back and iteratively construct what you would do manually over many, many hours, right? And then what do you get in the end? You get your nice, beautiful research report right there so that you don't have to spend an hour or 2 hours or I don't know, a week to for whatever research that you wanted to do, right? So that's the big value proposition of plain old Google search versus deep research agents. Now, one confusion that I always get is the difference between deep research agent and thinking models, right? Deep research is where the agent is going and sort of like doing the Googling for you and adapting its strategy on the way, right? Thinking models like the most famous one that you would have heard of, DeepSeek R1, is
Mhm.
more around reasoning and running through logic. So the classic example there is how many R's are there in strawberry, that type where you're actually thinking and reasoning through the model. So I want to make sure that people understand the difference between deep research and thinking, because sometimes it gets confusing and people call it deep thinking and all sorts of one of the things with AI is there's always a lot of confusion in nomenclature. So get we need to understand the options. So today I'm going to go through three levels of options there are, right? There is the free options, and the good news is that the free options are becoming really, really good with guys like Perplexity and Grok really offering fantastic free options, at no cost. uh, then there is the basic option, which is typically the $20 plans, and those also are becoming really, really good, where they give you a little more compute and more, you know deep research type abilities. And then you have the premium options, where you know it is the highest level of reasoning at the highest level of compute, and it's solving like some major business use case for you, like typically used by people who probably like charge a lot. And 200 bucks is not an issue if you are working on a large project. So these are the three levels that we have in deep research agents, right? Now we'll go through like what is the top of the art, which you would have heard, the Chat GPT Pro, the $200 one. And this is what it is. And I'll just show you a quick demo of like how to use it. And then I've run the prompt in advance for the one that Lucinda had given us, right? So I have the Chat GPT Pro version here. This is the $200 one. And what you want to do is you want to select this O3 Mini High, which is their highest reasoning model, and then click this button for deep research, right? So I'll take my prompt that Lucinda gave, pop it in here, and boom, it's off to the races. Right now, one thing with the Chat GPT Pro, which is slightly irritating, is doesn't matter what task you give it, it'll always ask these five questions. Right now, some people love that because it lets you provide more clarity on which direction you want to go. I hate these five questions, so I just always say all of the above or something like that, and
But
it
Alden,
just
just so you know, I use this a lot, and I've been putting in "Do not ask me questions," and it's still come back and ask me questions.
I
So
know. So that's one irritating thing where they hard coded that always ask five-question thing. I'm sure very soon they'll figure it out, and they'll yeah. AI is now smart enough where it shouldn't be asking these stupid questions like five times. So hopefully, OpenAI is going to figure that out. So after I said all of the above, it rephrased the plan, and now it's like off to the races, right? So while it's doing its thing, since I had run this before, I will go through my Martha Stewart style, like, cooked recipe here. And we can look at, what it did when I ran it before, right? So here, it the research process took about 10 minutes to cook, and you can see the activity here on the side, right, where it mapped the task to what was needed, then it started searching, then it came back to more thinking, then it searched some more, right, and it kept going on here, searching, thinking, searching, thinking, searching, thinking, right, and almost pulled through almost like 47 sources here to come up with the final response here, right? Now, let's take a look at, you know, the response. As you can see, what was asked for like was various case studies and use cases, and it's now running through them. It's got these little citations here to show what information is coming from where. So a really good research report, not totally formatted for all use cases, but at least as far as the data is concerned, it has everything that is required to solve the task at hand, right? So this is an example of a general purpose task solver. It is so smart that it can adapt its strategy on the fly to give you the, to solve your task at hand, right? So this deep researcher OpenAI is like my favorite. It's a little expensive at $200, so it'll be interesting to see like how long people keep the $200 subscription. But as far as deep researchers is concerned, this is like top of the line, right? So we can come back to questions at the end, and we can flip back. So the second one I want to show you is also my second favorite, especially for the cheap version, sort of like, the $20 version of Perplexity Pro. And Perplexity is, I have like huge respect for Perplexity because the pace at which they are innovating at such a low price is really like awesome to see, right? So I gave it the same task that we are using today, and again it was able to go through 58 sources. And you can see that again, like OpenAI's $200 version, they were able to plan and execute their strategy along the way to come out with the report that was needed, right? Now, one big difference I see between Perplexity and OpenAI is that Perplexity is more of an answer engine. So the responses that you have will typically be more like answers rather than, comprehensive research reports. So I would keep that at the back of my mind whenever using Perplexity. If you need something wherein you are thinking to yourself, I think this is going to take 2 hours to do, Perplexity can give you a really good answer in 2 to 3 minutes. And that's what like Perplexity really shines at. you know just like OpenAI, they have the sources, they'll show you what they are doing, they can show you what they're thinking, and you have the beautiful, citations that if you want to question anything, you can click on that, right? So strategy wise, this is very similar to OpenAI ChatGPT Pro, the $200 one, without like the heavy cost. And the other beautiful thing about Perplexity is they made a slightly lower version of this available in their free tier. So even without paying anything, you can test out Perplexity's, new like free version. Uh, uh, if I if I log out, I can show it, but in my presentation, I have links to show the free one as well, right? So the third one we'll look at is Grok. So Grok just came out like 2 3 days back, and what we want to do is, I signed up for the $30 version. It's called Grok, and we you have to select this deep research version, a deep search version, and you have to use this Grok 3, right? So this makes sure that it gives you the the deep researcher. I'm not sure if, yeah, okay. So this was my previous run using the exact same prompt. So I want to show you a couple of differences here. The first one is 400 sources analyzed, right? Like, so this must be Elon Musk like throwing his money at the problem, because unlike ChatGPT, we had like 40, 50 sources. This thing actually went through 400 sources to solve this task that Lucinda put up, right? And you can see like exactly like the width of which it is attacking the task. uh, you know, in our system typically we do like 5 to 10 different perspectives, which means you attack the task from like 5 different or 10 different angles. And I think Grok like attacks it from like 30 different angles, right? So the good news is that it can give you a wide breadth of information to attack the task. The bad news is when you go wide, it becomes a little shallow, right? And you can't really dig into what the articles that are being read. You cannot really analyze them, get as much juice out of them, or get the key golden insights as such. So while I appreciated the huge number of sources that were analyzed by Grok, the type of output responses was like pretty shallow. It didn't get the key insights, it didn't get the beautiful quotes, it didn't get the data analysis. A lot of things were missing. It almost felt like, GPT 3.5 type, uh, the final report. Right now, you know before pissing on Elon Musk, we have to realize that literally he put this together in probably like a couple of weeks, right? So this is the worst that Grok is ever going to be. And if they keep iterating at the pace that they are doing, then that will bode well for their deep researcher, right? And then the other part about the Grok is, their free version, like Perplexity, is also awesome. So if you want to try deep researchers for free, you should look at Perplexity and Grok, and those both free versions should like do wonders for most tasks, right? And then lastly, I want to do some shameless self promotion here, which is we've been working on our own CustomGPT.ai researcher, where our differentiator is mostly with custom knowledge, right? My belief is that, while the generic information on the internet is good, and systems like ChatGPT and Perplexity will handle them, we want to focus on custom knowledge, right? So in this example, I built a custom knowledge base based on GI Insights website and YouTube videos, right? There are hundreds of YouTube videos and almost like a 3 million words based on all the insights from the morning daily briefing. So I built a custom knowledge base, and then we put together this deep researcher with the custom knowledge option here. So in this option, you can select your project and then kick off the same task, that is very specific to your own custom knowledge. So to give you some idea, using this custom feature, we kicked off that exact same task from Lucinda, and that's given this comprehensive report for. And what you'll notice is all the information here is coming from the GAI Insights knowledge base, right? So it's very specific to whatever your custom knowledge is. Uh, we are hoping that this will be useful for marketers, for researchers, for academics, for whom their own knowledge and doing deep research on them is more important than generic internet information.
I'll make sure I'm listening correct. So this is a deep researcher RAG model.
Correct. It's
Okay,
basically deep research connected to RAG.
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is it a separate
So
product, Alden?
yeah, I built it as a separate product. And so basically, it's two separate tools, one sitting on top of the other. And the reason I did it like this is such that so that the knowledge can be maintained in one place with all of its SOC 2 compliance and all of the 100 different integrations. And then the researcher sits on top of it. So I've mentioned the free options. There is the Perplexity free. ChatGPT has a free with search. I really don't consider it as a deep researcher, but it's good enough for now, and it is taking market share from Google. Right. There is a nice academic one called Stanford Storm, which is the granddaddy of this whole concept of perspectives and deep research. So, huge respect for them. If somebody wants to experiment with open source, Stanford Storm is a good example. For people who want to try our system, there is a free option with Google Research. So, you can go to researcher.customgpt.ai and you can try 3 articles for free, uh, and you can try it out and compare it against others. And again, like Grok free is an excellent option, came out yesterday. And I know I put together this presentation in the morning, and by afternoon Anthropic had announced that they have their own reasoning model now, so I'm sure they'll activate a deep research module as well. So, how do you evaluate deep researchers, side by side? So, I put together a comparison table, and people who are interested can, you know, check the comparison on various factors if you want to go deep. But at the end of the day, it boils down to like, what sort of data sources is being analyzed, like, and how is the deep researcher actually planning for them? Like, is it a static plan, which somebody like Grok looks to be more static, whereas somebody like Perplexity and ChatGPT is extremely dynamic and can adjust their plan on the fly, right? And the thing to do, like with all AI, is to look at the quality of the answers, because just like with AI generated content, sometimes things look nice, but they might not really be nice. Like, it's not might not have the insights or the quotes or the beautiful golden insights that you want to see in your answers, right? And over time, things like costs and latency is also going to come into the picture, right? But the good news here is, this concept of deep research and reasoning models has just started, and you're going to see a lot of like innovation in this space, where just imagine something like a reasoning model working for 8 days trying to find a cure for cancer, right? And running models and running math. So that is the sort of things that's going to start happening. Now, a question some you might have is, which one is the right for me? And the right answer is typically like experiment, like start with the free options. And if you want to do that, I would recommend the Perplexity one, because it's really good and it's free. And then if you have the paid subscriptions, both Perplexity Pro and Grok are also good options. And if money is not an issue, then just I would just say go with ChatGPT Pro, because they are top of the line. They keep innovate the highest, and they're always like keeping ahead of everything. If you are a business users, do try out our system. It's designed specifically for businesses and custom knowledge. And Google also has this new feature, not new anymore. It's like 3 months old, but Google Notebook LM, where you can connect your own like documents and do some summarization and research on it, right? So this is my high level. I'll leave time for questions and any comments.
Fantastic. And before we open up the question, So Alden, you talked about this project. You started this about 2 years ago. It was a side project. It was a vision of yours. 6 months ago, did you see these reasoning models coming? Is this surprising you? Is this just a natural progression of what the development cycle would be?
Uh, to be honest, I didn't. I've been working on the concept of like article writing for 3 years. And 6 months ago, I just saw that these models getting better and better, right? And to be honest, I haven't been following the market. I've just been following my passion. And
Yeah.
my passion is like, I want that researcher to be the world's greatest writer, right? And so I just look for what the advances are and then try and implement them in that researcher as such. And one of the benefits these days is, with all these coding models getting better, the cost of really pursuing your passions is come down significantly.